Greetings, everyone. My name is Clyde Tabor. I'm with the Visual Story Network and also representing the Media to Movements Coalition. This is our fourth or fifth quarterly meetup where we bring together people who are interested in the top of the funnel in terms of how do we identify seekers and persons of peace in the digital realm, but then with a goal towards bringing them through a filtering process that brings them into relationship that allows them to be followed up, discipled, and become a part of the growing movement of God around the world. So normally Allison Baldwin is here as my co-host, but she happens to be in Israel right now and unavailable. So it's Hannah and me with two really special guests who I'll introduce shortly. But in any event, glad that you all are here. We are talking today specifically about the top 5 lessons of marketing in the 1040 window. We have a variety of people who are coming from different places in this area of how do we use digital media to reach out. And so some of you have been doing this a very long time. Some of you are just getting started. So our purpose for this community, and there are other communities that we'll make mention of, particularly towards the end of the hour, but this has a bigger focus on we want to build community, connect you with good resources and relationships, and hopefully inspire you to keep going or get you started going and give you some additional pathways that will help you go and be more effective wherever you are. So we're going to jump right in and hear from Nachi Lazarus, but I'm going to have my friend David Benware introduce him since I just met him today. But I have known David for at least 10 years, perhaps I think maybe 12 years. And David is a friend and an inspiration. He is an innovator who just doesn't stop innovating. He launched Media Impact International a handful of years ago, and it has kind of taken off because they provide a very unique service to the church around the world in providing media marketing strategy training, follow-up centers. They're now in 46 countries. They've got 200 different partners they work with. He's traveling to the Middle East to work in a sensitive area. He's traveled all over. And anyway, I'm just grateful to be connected with David from Media Impact International. David, say something else about MII and introduce us to Nachi, if you will.
Thanks a lot, Clyde. MII is predominantly an equipper. We like to equip other ministries to do the work of how to use digital marketing for the gospel. And it's been an exciting run for the last almost 8 years now. So as Nachi comes to speak in a minute, I just want to say a word about him so we can get into this. Nachi runs our work in India. We have about 35 people in our India team and doing quite a great work there. But he's also our international marketing director for MII. We have about 130 people on our team now. So it's grown into something that is a little bigger than what I prayed for or hoped for, but okay that we're there because God surprises, it can be pretty good. Nachi's been doing this for about 18 years. Has an international marketing company out of Chennai in the south of India. And it's been a privilege to work with him now for the last 3 years at MII as he continues this work through us at this point. So anyway, one of the things we're going to do today is for anyone who would like, Nachi has a book called The Connected Church. It's basically a social media communication strategy guide. It is still, after 5 years, in the top seller list at Amazon, still the number 30 book in digital media of the 1,000 there. And so it's book today. And for anyone who would like that book, we're giving that to you today as our gift of thanks for your being here. So if you can put in the chat, if you would like it, the address that you use for Amazon, because it'll be coming from Amazon in their Kindle version. So if you would like that book today, somewhere during the program today, if you put that in the chat, your email address, the same one that you use for Amazon. That way we can get that to you very quickly. So anyway, without further ado, Nachi's my good friend, and we look forward to working with you today and looking forward to answering your questions. But right now, Nachi, it is your gig. Go for it.
And I'll just say before you go there, open up your chat window if you haven't already, and we love questions. So he'll be sharing for a while, and then we're going to have ample time to interact around what he shares. So go ahead, Nachi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, David. It's I'm very thrilled to be here because I was just telling Clyde earlier that not many we don't get much opportunity to come together as a body, as brothers and sisters in this media space and really talk about these things. So it just warms my heart because most of the time we are all in our own lonely worlds, trying to do a thing. So just getting together is so amazing. Thank you so much for being here. So let's dive right in. So I've got a few things that I would love to share with you, and I'll click my timer in because I just have a few minutes. And top 5 lessons in marketing. So let's go into each one of them. The first thing I have to share with you is about conversational trends. So I'm going to share with you the 5 trends. And the first thing that really, because I've been in marketing for 20 years now, and in this space for more than 18 years. But it never ceases to amaze me how conversations change, how audience change. And the first thing I want to tell you is the Christian community building process is moving online. So one of the things we see all over the world, as David mentioned, we are in 46 different countries as MII, and we do some incredible things, such exciting every single day. We look forward, my friend Jessica's here. So we work on some of the most exciting campaigns around the world. And as we do these things, we start seeing these trends. And one of the trends that we're seeing is how people, especially in the Middle East region, we see how people are warming up and responding to this idea of Christian community being online. Because all of us have grown up. I come from a non-Christian family. I'm the first Christian in my house. So we all come from different backgrounds with different experiences of what a Christian community could be. But building a Christian community online, that is the trend that we're seeing starting to pick up in various regions. Partly, if you think of it, it's logical because it's because of COVID. People are comfortable with the idea of online community. In some way, I always, tell my friends, we could have, no amount of education could have brought about the habits that people have today, if not for the whole lockdown process. The lockdown process really brought in habits to people which we never imagined would happen at such a short notice. So being on Zoom calls now, like, second nature to people, being on online community, no brainer. I don't even have to explain the idea of online community now to most people because they get it. That's what they do. Their family is online. Everybody is online, chatting with people online. So online Christian community building is the first trend I want to talk about. Deep conversations. We are seeing deep conversations in such settings, which we never thought was possible. Similarly, we are also seeing people opening up to private messaging, process. So earlier, private messaging and chat was seen as something intrusive, something that's not personal, and so on. But that's changing. Some of the conversations that our follow-up teams have are very personal, very important, very sensitive, and people are opening up. They are comfortable. They don't mind. So these are trends which are encouraging for you and me as people who would love to bless people in the online world, because this makes it a little bit easier. If it's online community, it's easier to build. It's also challenging at the same time, but at least that opportunity is out there. So we can use private messaging today to have sensitive conversations. We can use online Christian communities to reach people. So those are the 2 trends I wanted to highlight as my first point. The second is content trends. So what kind of content are we seeing? As I mentioned, we run multiple campaigns and multiple channels in multiple settings in different themes and so on. So some of the things we are seeing are, first is there is a preference towards hybrid local language campaigns. So we all know by now that local language is something that works, but I'm talking about slight variation of that, a hybrid local language. For example, Hinglish in India, so which is a combination of Hindi and English. So it's very interesting how that is kind of starting to pick up. So when we have campaigns that are in Hindi, it does well. But when we have campaigns in Hindi and English, that does even slightly better because that's what people are using in the chat. That's what younger people are starting to use. And therefore, the seniors are also following suit. So there is this minor adoption, irrespective of the age group, for hybrid local communications. So something that you might want to watch out for and run campaigns in that setting. The other thing related to content trends is conversation starters are mostly need-based themes. So when we run themes based on, say, biblical concepts or spiritual concepts, it has certain uptake. But when campaigns are run based on needs or pain points, that becomes an excellent conversation starter. Now, many times there are reasons that you may not want to do that because you want to convey a message very quickly. But if conversation starting and community building is your main focus, then I highly recommend you experiment with need-based campaigns, because that is what we are seeing as brilliant, conversation starters. And then that kind of leads to further, deeper conversations about spiritual things and so on. The third trend I want to talk about is platforms. So what kind of platforms are we seeing pick up? There you have it on the screen. Those are the three where we see our biggest return on investment. Actually, TikTok not being available in India. So right now, in certain parts of the world, in the 1040 window, almost in all areas, TikTok is there except in India. And the return on investment that we are seeing for campaigns is mostly on Meta platform, especially Instagram, and YouTube, obviously Google. So those are the three big platforms where we're seeing returns. And especially interestingly, in the recent months, and I think this is also going to impact in the next 3 to 4 years, is this short form content format. So whether it is Reels or TikTok or Shorts, YouTube Shorts. So this is starting to get traction, especially in the top of the funnel. So since today we are talking especially about top of the funnel, the reach and the impressions and the exposure that messages can get with the short form content is absolutely great. And we are looking at multiple campaigns taking off in these, but they are a little bit challenging to work on, as you know. You just have to contextualize it in a suitable format. But once you crack that, then there is a big opportunity for being exposed to a much bigger audience using these short form content. The number 4 trend where I want to spend a little time is the visual trends. So in the various campaign settings that we work on, and various trial and error and experimentation that we do, we have been playing around with multiple different content. And what gives us the best ROI in terms of content is images in the top of the funnel. It's very interesting, because I know all of us know the power of video. I am a big fan of the video content myself. But if you look at direct impact, images do very well, especially images that have engagement elements to them, like carousels. So carousels really help people start conversations quickly, because of the nature of that format. As you know, carousel ads they can have up to 10 images. And as people swipe, we are starting to, first of all, it's an engagement signal to the platform. So the platform knows that people are engaging with the content. Second, with all that 10 different elements at our disposal, we have the opportunity to address objections, address concerns, talk to them, one-on-one. It's almost like looking into their eyes and talking about various things. And because of the linear nature of the content, where you go from one image to another, there is a great opportunity for us also to kind of lead them through a story. So for storytelling, it's very, very useful. So carousels and also some gamification. I know carousel is like a very starting point of gamification, but we can even look at image content and other types of content where we increase the level of gamification with rewards and interactive triggers and so on. So those are some of the visual trends that we are seeing, which is very fascinating because I think they will continue to remain that way for the next few years. And finally, tactical trends in terms of strategy. What can we look at? What are some of the lessons we are learning for now and for the future? Is a repeat exposure. I mean, this is a basic marketing thing that you repeat, expose somebody to multiple messages. But the thing is, what we're also seeing is the frequency needs to be phased out. This is especially for faith-based messages, especially for community building messages. Then it has to be a little bit phased out. When I say a little bit phased out, depends on the campaign, but at least a few days apart. So that way people see the message repeatedly during their online journey, but not too frequently that they are put off by the message. So that is a strategy that has worked well for us. So just wanted to highlight that. And of course, finally, seamless multi-platform touch points, where today, as you know, people are on their television screens, on the iPads, on the mobiles, and all sorts of devices, including a headset and metaverse and all of that. So it's I think the next few years, we as a community, when we think of what to build and how to structure our communication pattern, I think it's important for us to consider seamless multi-platform touch points. So how can we touch our audience in multiple platforms? Because they are hopping all the time. So we hear stories of people looking at our campaign first on the mobile, then actually not starting a chat window there, but going to a desktop to start a chat window. Similarly, on a TV screen and so on. So really depending on the campaign, but mostly it's about having multi-point touch points. So there you have it. Those are the top 5 learnings that I wanted to share. We usually have this 3-point strategy of measuring, experimenting, and adopting. So there you have it. We can move on to the questions. I hope.
Awesome. So, and I've already got a question. So mine will be first, but put your comments or questions in the chat and I'll just try to address them in sequence. So can you give us an example of a carousel campaign? I mean, I know that's like typically for product marketing. Okay. We have shoes, we have socks, we have t-shirts. How does that work in a like an evangelistic messaging kind of platform?
Sure. So typically here, we start out with the very first slide. So you can imagine 10 different image slides. So we start the first slide by capturing the attention with a pain-based or a need-based message. So I'll give you an example of one of the real campaigns that we run. So one of the campaigns we run talks about how not to be worried about, a life. This is especially was run during the COVID season. So we said, don't, so the wordings on the image, the first image was, do not worry, be strong. And then we had variations, don't worry, be confident, and things like that. So first of all, you're addressing the heart of the audience and what they are going through. Do not worry. They are worried because there's COVID. They're thinking about their health, family, and so on. So the do not worry addresses that. Then they say, be strong. And that's kind of curious. How can I be strong? So be strong is like an open-ended question type of message. And then people scroll next. And then the next carousel image says, are you worried about your loved ones? So you further lead them into the campaign. Then they say, yes, I am. So they move on. And then we say, okay, if you're worried, then we encourage you to be strong. How can you be strong? 1, 2, 3, 3 ways to be strong. And then we say, if you like to start a conversation about this with someone, we are willing to hear you and listen to you and help you. And then we say, click here to start a conversation. And there is a message button right there. People click and start a conversation. So just an example.
That's interesting. Fascinating. And I saw that, Brad, I saw your comment in there as well in the chat. I don't see any other comments or questions, so I'm going to prompt people. John, respond to anything you've heard Nachi say. I mean, you live in this space. What would you reiterate or underscore or comment on?
I love everything that he shared. And I love the fact that he's using data to look at stuff, because we make assumptions like, oh, video is always going to be better. I would say with TikTok, a lot of times we've ran TikTok ads and had them shut down. So it's very geographical by the laws of the country that you're running it in. So depending upon where you run TikTok ads. So for example, Turkey. And we had unbelievable click-through as far as actual Bible downloads. It was one of the best ads ever, but then it got shut down. So you have to really look at your geographic things sometimes to what different platforms will allow on it. But you can do things organically on TikTok and it may be even better or just as good for you. So some of these things that he is sharing, you don't even have to spend money. You just have to spend time and be creative. And I think the biggest thing that I would love to just have coffee with Nachi and others on here in the future is intellectual property issues coming into this, because you have content owners who are going to fight against things like the usage of their content for TikTok, Snapchat, those kind of things. And we've got to figure out how to partner well in that area as well. But I love everything that they're doing. I think that they've really done great on the follow-up side of stuff too. And that follow-up people that they're doing.
Okay. Thank you, John. So another one, this is from Brian. I agree. I would love to see, Nachi, do you have a TikTok example or ad that you could share or explain? Tell us more about the organic use of TikTok.
I'd ask Nachi if he could bring up a carousel ad to show what it looks like as well. Then maybe move to TikTok. Do you have anything?
Okay, that'd be super helpful.
Yeah, I would just, so David kind of prompted me to bring this up. So I was going to show an example and then we'll talk about TikTok in a minute. So this is a real, like on Facebook kind of an image. So let me just move a little bit. So as you can see, this is a live carousel ad that we're running. It's live right now. So you can see 3,600 likes, 234 comments, 88 shares. So you can see that it's doing well. So this is an example. So it says, don't worry, be cheerful. So this is one of the variations. And then, as you go along, you can see, are you worried about the future? And then people say, yes. And then you go and say, are you worried about health and safety? And they say, yes. So you kind of lead them into conversation. And then do you need to talk to someone about? So now we are introducing the idea of a conversation. And then people say, yes, I want to talk to somebody about this. And then you say, okay, our counselors are ready to listen to you, message us. And that's it. And people click on this message and we've received hundreds of thousands of messages on something. So just a quick example of that.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. And how about, do you have something from TikTok that's like at your fingertips?
Okay. No, I don't have something that I can pull up, but just a few thoughts on TikTok. In fact, we had this conversation just in the last call about half an hour ago, Jessica and I. So one of the things about both TikTok, Reels, and Shorts that we have seen is, for example, whatever I showed you now, this will not directly work on something like TikTok. So there you have to have what we call as a content customization, content trigger, because these formats like TikTok and Reels and Shorts are specifically made where people have certain type of expectations. So when they, like in YouTube, when you go, you have an expectation. You kind of expect people to start off by saying what the video is about, and then you expect so like that, when people come to Reels or TikTok, they have certain expectations of the content delivery process. So I think that packaging needs to be there. And what we have seen in TikTok work really well, especially from a ministry context, is to keep it, if you don't have a talking head person, if there is somebody who can talk like a speaker, then what works really well is like point educational content where you have titles and points and so on. But if you don't have a teaching kind of a content, if it is more of a conceptual content, then we've seen visual elements with lots of music in the background and lots of text prompts work really well. For example, think of like if you've seen travel TikToks, sometimes they'll put a picture or a video or a panning video of a turquoise blue water, and you just look at it and there is some music going on behind, and then the text starts coming up. So if there is a concept, like for example, if you're saying somebody not to worry, then I would say pick up a clip of something that lets people be in a non-worrying kind of a state, and then start off with the same questions, and then lead them with the music in the background with those TikTok effects in there, and then lead them towards a conversation. So ultimately, the call to action has to be very strategic, whether it's a messaging that you want them to do, or you want them to visit a page, or TikTok now has incredible ad options. You can do various things, like not just leading people to a website, but have conversations in there, give you details there, send messages and so on. So, or keep leading them on a funnel right there. And what's the next one? So keep them in your channel as well. So there are very different strategies about doing that, but yeah, just a thought.
Okay, and
Question.
then Brian.
Oh,
Okay,
excuse me.
I'm
Go
sorry, I was
ahead.
going to let me go off this one because Brian
Yeah.
said any favorite tools for creating TikTok since it relates.
What we use is regular editing tools. We don't have any specific TikTok tools. If you use a mobile, if you want to do completely on mobile, which I think it's going to be a challenge for ministries, then InShot is a good tool. There are lots of editing tools out there, but actually TikTok, if you're going to do it entirely on the mobile, then TikTok app itself is the best tool to use, because the more you use TikTok's inbuilt tools, the algorithm knows that, and you are going to get algorithmic preference inside TikTok that way. So I would recommend, if you're using mobile, then use the TikTok tool itself first, if not InShot for just a few little bit editing. But outside that, you can actually engineer the entire post using your regular editing process, and then kind of move it to TikTok and do the other frills on the app.
All right, and was that you, Jeffrey?
Yes, it was. On the carousels where it says, would you like to talk with a counselor? Click here. Is it a live person on the other end or a chat bot?
It's a live person.
Okay. Do you use chat bots in some situations just to get them further into the funnel before a live person takes over?
We do in certain use cases. We don't do it actively as we speak, because we think what is more important, not just we think, we know for sure what is really important is to have this in-person conversation. That's what has given us breakthroughs. Like in the COVID situation, we saw hundreds of thousands of conversations and hundreds of people being willing to open up without seeing anybody in person, open up their hearts to Jesus. So, and those type of things happen only, that magic can happen, we believe, only in in-person conversations. But we have worked on a chatbot process of just for elimination of non-quality chat conversations, if you can call them. So we have used that for elimination to some levels, but we ideally, it's like when people land, we want it to be in an in-person conversation.
So off of that, you must, and this is part of what MII offers, is you got a team of people when you run campaigns who can actually provide that service. Because once you run that ad, if you want, you got to have one or more people ready at that time. How do you guys manage that workflow? Do you have like, okay, for the next 20 hours, we need 3 people who are on chat, like live? Like, how do you navigate that workflow?
I could touch that just a little bit. We have 6 follow-up centers now. We're in India, Pakistan, Turkey, Arab world, Central Asia, and South Africa. And generally, we represent the campaigns of other third-party ministries. So we intercept their first communication coming in. We walk an average about 25 communications with each person through the process, because people don't make really quick decisions in the Muslim or Hindu world. So we want to be with them. We try to deal with the felt needs first and that kind of thing. But we can pretty much project traffic based on the ad campaigns that we're told are going to be run, and when they're not, that kind of thing. But yeah, we have about I think around 70, 75 virtual counselors now in the system worldwide, but they're all indigenous to the regions that they're in. So it's we can pretty much project by the ad budgets and the power of the campaign what's going to happen. The persona based on top of it, so we kind of know the information that's coming in as well. And we are actually, Jeffrey, looking at some grading systems for potential, because we get an awful lot of extraneous things that would be nice to grade out at some point, but that's down the road.
What did that mean, David? That last part, I didn't understand what the grading systems
great
refers
grading
to.
is basically, we represent one client that advertise heavy, like in the gaming market. So we get a lot of people asking us where they can get the token of the game. So we like, there are methodologies using AI now and bots and different things where you can actually filter some of it out and not waste the time of the counselor when it's not a serious communication or conversation.
David, I think you guys are
process.
using Echo Global, aren't you, on most of your places there? So that helps with your scheduling and with your follow-up and and some of those kind of things.
Yeah, as well as disciple tools. So we actually ordered and got a device where DT and Echo are talking back and forth with each other. It's non-proprietary. It's open to anybody right now. So anybody that wants that, if they can't find it, let us know. We'll make sure that they have it. But it's actually where the two boxes talk back and forth to each other, where Echo now becomes the main repository for information, but it's automatic. We don't need to manually put it back in Echo, doing DT and real low funnel stuff.
It works great. Just as a plug for what they did, that MII and their people, they did to that, and that it's open source. I mean, we had over 40,000 messages come in this last month just in Ukraine using his tool that they built there, and it works. So I highly am appreciative of the work that they did to set that up, but also to make it open source in the nature of what we're trying to do with partnership and everything out there. So it works great.
How do we get that in? Where somebody wants to learn more, where do they go, David, for that?
I would just say, if they're interested, just contact me to start with, and I will make sure that they get it.
And it's your,
David,
can you put your email in there, or in the chat, or
David@mii.global.
All right. I'm here. I'm filtering through. We're gonna transition here, but this is really helpful. Okay, yeah, Brian asked that question. Yeah, Brian did ask, or James asked, Nachi, I'm curious about the carousel campaign. Can be used with a combination of images and videos?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you can go up to 10 pieces. So they can be images or videos or both. And if you're looking at videos, they need to be 2 minutes or less. And all of this, when you're running an ad, needs to be 1 by 1 square size.
Okay. All right. Final thoughts, comments, questions for Nachi or John, and we're gonna open it up a little broader here in a moment.
One other thing on the carousel that I would add to it is that if you do the images, he's exactly right. It needs to be 1 by 1, but don't limit your creativity to a box. So you could have a picture that's on the first carousel ad of like a person walking, and then the next picture is just a continuation of it. So there's ways to be creative in these things so that it naturally lends itself to scroll through the picture. So you could have a person walking, half their body's on the first one, and the next part of their body's on that next picture or whatever. So be very creative with these. There's tons of ways to do these that they look natural, and they need to be tied into the platform like they're talking about. I just appreciate Nachi's advice about the TikTok too. Like, it's got to be local, and because the people that you're trying to reach, that's where they live. So they'll know if you're taking something from Facebook and trying to throw it on TikTok, it's going to look weird. It won't work. So I just really appreciate the wisdom of the words he's saying.
All right. And you guys need to hang out, man. I don't know how you need to do that. But you guys are so far out in front compared to most people, even in the space. So we appreciate each of you for that. Yeah, you know what? We're going to do a little meet and greet here because I want everybody to get to know everybody. But maybe is there... does anybody just want to comment about, like, and maybe this is a broader topic, Nachi or John, like, what's changed in the last 3 months? Are there any things kind of new that, like, since we last gathered, like, that we should be aware of? And anybody can comment on this, like, a comment or a question, or that was weird, or this is now new and that's not been addressed.
Yeah, because we track the news every week, there's just so much going on. And just specifically in the last 3 months, if you see one of the two big trends that I want to point out that might impact a lot of what we do. One is search itself. So if you look at Google closely, they have been, as you know, Google, the mammoth behind the whole search business. So they have been revamping their search a lot. So just as of last week, they released this new search facility called multi-search. So what multi-search does is it's a combination of image and text. So we're all used to text-based searching. Search for something, you type a text, but now they're bringing the whole AR component into it. It's been there for a while. They've been testing, but now last week they launched it, where you can actually take a picture of something and then type of text along with it. So Google will search both the image and text together. Like, they treat both those as a component together. So I'm always interested in search, because when people have questions about who is God, why am I having problems in life, is God real, all these questions, where do they go? They actually go to search. So today, the combination of having word-based search, voice search, and image search is evolved a lot. So I would highly recommend that all of us look at the latest trends in search and see if there is any optimization we need to do for our own content. All of us are creating video content, image content, written content, but the way you optimize it has changed. So I think that's one thing I wanted to point out. The second, very quickly, is the idea of obviously the Web3, metaverse, NFT, and so on. We are in very, very early days. There's been multiple announcements, especially from people like Meta, Instagram, and Facebook, saying that they are bringing NFTs into these regular platforms. So the merging of Web3 and Web2 is happening as we speak. So which I think it's going to impact what we do as media ministries in a very big way. So it's the good thing is it's early, so all of us can jump in early. So I would highly recommend that all of us look at learning, jumping in, playing around, see what happens. I mean, it's still evolving. So those are the two things I want to jump in.
And describe NFT or briefly, because I don't know if everyone knows.
Sure. So NFT is almost like a ticket that you get for a game or for movies or something. It's a token, but it's a irreplaceable token. So when you have a token, there's no other token in the world like that. So that's what NFTs are. It gives access to some things online, and it all this lives on the metaverse blockchain.
So this is digital. So this is a bits and bytes artifact, not a.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So mostly nowadays it's just a JPEG and GIF images and funny looking caricature images and so on. That's what it looks like. But eventually it will evolve to something more meaningful. For example, churches and ministries can use this as a point of entry for members and to give access and so on. And we as media ministers, we will also start using something like this in a different variation, more to give people access to, for example, people coming to an event, things like that. And maybe if somebody takes a step towards faith, we can actually send them an NFT and give them access to a few things for the NFT. One of the access things could be a Bible or a resource that they can access, because this is a new thing, it's a novel thing, and it gives access to people to enter into a world of faith. So there are many applications, fascinating applications to it. Very early days, but something to watch out.
Okay, and here's another question from Brian. If anyone, or this is to anyone, has good examples of organic TikTok ads or content, he'd appreciate hearing from you. People are asking for help, and I'm trying to work on a guide with examples. So he's put his email in there. So yeah, John or Nachi, do you have I don't know, is there can you even point oh, this ministry does a great job, or this TikTok account?
I think you just have to be in the space and start seeing how people do it to create the right ones. There's not a magic to it. I mean, there's tons of business stuff, how to use these things. Just baptize them and learn from these ones that are out there. It's a product. So how would you promote a product? It's just our product actually provides eternal life and salvation. And so there's some ways to go through it. I do want to jump on a couple things. The algorithm itself has been aggressive recently. We're seeing several accounts getting shut down out there erroneously on some of them. So always appeal if that happens to you and be checking on this. One of the ones has been music. And people using music and things like that they're not supposed to be doing those kind of ones. I would say the NFTs and some of those things, I'm spending with our team I'd say 50% of my time working in Web 3.0 technology sector for security. But when you start talking metaverse or Web 3.0, it's a bunch of phrases that can become kind of catchwords or whatever else right now. So this is where you get the AR, VR, MR, but we've actually created digital Ethereum token websites on the dark web because there's nobody doing stuff out there right now. Like if the internet becomes fractured, how do we get content to people? And so Web 3.0 is going to give us things Blockchain is the one that I'm the most excited about. And some of these tools, probably got about 30 different pieces of software that's using Web 3.0 type of technologies that we're testing on it. So this is stuff that I'm doing in preparation for EMDC, Clyde. So this is where for my workshop, I'm going to talk about it. But I think we have to look back as we look forward. So how did Web 1.0, AOL, how did it work? And there's hints there that will show us how Web 3.0 is actually going to work on some of these. And so the best thing I would say for any of it is get involved, whether it's TikTok or whatever, play with these things, and you're going to start to see the trends, because we don't know what's going to work. Whatever is going to work probably isn't even created yet. So, we have to get comfortable in the space and the phrases and some of those kind of things. And it's going to change our marketing. Just everything is going to change with these kind of tools and the things that are happening. One other quick thing for those of you all, and if you're in orgs where you're trying to send money, there's a way for you to use this as well. You can sell an NFT and transfer funds and be able, in places where it's hard to get funds to your workers, have them create the most god ugly NFT. And then if somebody happens to buy it, well, they just made money. And if you as an org or somebody else could buy those using Bitcoin or whatever else, and then you can transfer those funds into a different way. So it's a way to, don't want to say the laundry word, but it's a way to transfer funds in a way that is different in our world we live in today.
Okay, and that's awesome, you guys. Thank you so much. And John, I think I'm going to ask you maybe to be our next presenter on Web 3.0, but we'll follow up with that separately. David, and I know you've got to pop out at any time here because you've got a plane to catch, but we're going to continue on for a few more minutes, but we're going to do a quick, I just want to make sure I know everybody. So just if you can, tell us your name, where you are, what you can about where you are, and what you do, just 10 seconds. Okay, Clyde Tabor, Southern California Visual Story Network. Hannah, I'm just going to, you're next on my screen. Hannah, okay, can you, are you there, Hannah? You've already heard from Nachi, we heard from John. James, can you just tell us something about?
Yeah, that's me, James, right?
I don't know. Yeah,
Or there's Brian James. I don't know.
Just James.
Yeah, no, I'm living in Washington State, going from the hot hundreds to the hail of April here. So we lived in North Africa for 12 years, my wife and I, and 4 children. We moved back recently, just in September, working on gathering information and continuing to learn about media to movement, specifically gathering resources, understanding, trying to figure out, get my head around it even more than what I have had, so that I can pass on that information, help coach people through the process of what it would be like to walk through Media to Movement's campaign, whether they have done it before or they're just getting started. So that's the goal. We're working with our org, and hopefully we'll engage with teams all across the world still bound by Islam.
Awesome. Amanda, wait a minute, Jeffrey, sorry, Jeffrey, you're next. Just FEBC, tell us again where you are.
I'm in Virginia Beach. FEBC works association. We have 26 partners, 26 different countries through Asia, Eastern Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And we broadcast many languages in as cross-border to 24 more. Our reach is 4 billion people, but certainly we're on the internet and social media and cell phone apps and things like that. But they're mostly streaming. And I was asked last year, because international television is my background, can you get them over onto video? Start using video on social media. And praise God, a lot of them are, just by using their little old cell phones.
There you go. Thank you. Amanda, give us a quick shout out.
Hey guys, I'm Amanda. I'm with East West, and I'm the Digital Strategies Marketing Coordinator. Started about a year ago, and we have roughly 7 teams that are in our.
Thanks for joining us. Jeff Callow.
Hi there. I'm in Thailand at the moment, working with OMF International here. Just in Thailand, we've just started up our digital movements working group, and we're working through all these things, working out how to move into the 21st century in terms of digital stuff, working alongside the person-to-person movement sort of stuff that we do around the country here.
Are you connected like regionally with some others doing similar stuff with other orgs?
Just slowly starting to sort of feel our way into that. We know that there's other people in OMF doing this sort of stuff as well, and sort of been talking with them a bit.
All right.
But yeah, just slowly working into that. Been talking to Campus Crusade, and there's a couple other people doing this sort of stuff in Thailand.
All right. Yeah, we want to help any way we can to help you.
Love
be
to hear that.
successful. Roy, can you give us a shout out?
Yes, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm with New Generations and also work out of a local church here.
Awesome. Glad to see you, Jessica.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica, and I'm an MII as well with David and Nachi. I'm happy to be here with all of you today.
I just think geographically, where are you? Can you tell me?
I'm in Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder. Okay, great
Yes.
place. And not far from Boulder is Tom Kazoyan.
Hi, I'm Tom Kazoyan. I'm located south of Boulder, south end of Denver. I'm with Pioneers and work with Clyde and the MMU VSN team. And I guess my role in this has tended to be sort of introducing people to the whole concept of media to movements, how media can be used strategically, and helping people make the paradigm shift, and then sending them to Nachi, John, and others. So, and Jeff, if you haven't connected with Ray Dye, you should.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ray's been
Okay.
thinking about this stuff for a long, long time. So yeah, good to hear that.
Yes, great. And that does make my heart happy too as a connector. Eddie, you just showed up. Sorry. So just tell us something about you. Where are you? Like what org? What can you say?
Sorry, I just I got tied up, and then I thought I would catch the end of some lecture, but I just caught the introductions here. It seems, yeah, nice to see a lot of friends on here. My name is Eddie. I'm in Louisiana. Historically serving in Pakistan and India with the IMB, and recently been working with Zindagi TV on their project. And actually, I just ended that in March, so I'm sort of transitioning and praying about what's going to do in the future. But I don't think the Great Commission stops with one project or another. But yeah, anyway, so just praying about that. I want to stay in touch with what's going on so that I can not get behind.
And
Anyway.
we will, you'll get in the email follow-up, you'll get the link to the recording and notes and such. So glad you're here. I got James. Brian James.
Brian James with Frontiers by day and the Mobile Ministry Forum by night. Overlap a bit with Clyde and Tom and others. I lead a team at Frontiers called the Mobiles Media Team. We are trying to catalyze our teams to make better use of media. We're a traditional ministry organization that has people on the ground across the Muslim world and trying to get them to understand and use media more effectively.
Awesome. And pseudonym, can you tell us anything beyond that?
Definitely. I am in the Middle East, and I am working with an org called Impact Middle East. I was with Tom and AJ in the M2M, and we're actually hosting MI team next month where we're at, and we're very excited to learn from them as well. Yeah.
Awesome. And I love the connectivity here. Like we just need to know each other, like each other, and trust each other. And then the Spirit is free to do whatever the Spirit needs to do. Jill, can you give us a shout out?
I can. My camera probably won't make it though. I'm based in France, but working with teams in Africa, trying to encourage them to make use of mobile and social media.
Awesome. So I know many of you for a very long time. Some of you I'm just getting to know, but it just does my heart well. So here's how we're going to wrap. Putting some things here in the chat. Thank you, Jessica, for that link for that plugin between Echo and Disciple Tools. Nachi or David, you're still here. Just make the offer one more time for the book.
Yeah, so Nachi's book, which has been on Amazon's bestseller list for 5 years now, still at number 30 out of 1,000 books. We're giving that away free today only. So if you put your Amazon email address in the chat, we will send you that book free of charge today. The other thing I thought I'd mention before I hop off, got to go to the airport, is that Nachi also has a weekly blog video and 5 things you need to know what's happening in the social media world in the nonprofit space. And Jessica, I don't know if you can post a link for that or something that people can go directly to that. It's every week, it's 5 minutes, and it's been widely accepted. So
yep,
there you go.
And he popped it in there. Okay, thank you, David, for hanging with us. Travel safely. Yes, and I do encourage you, sign up for that newsletter. It's really power read. When I get long emails, I'm like, oh no, I've got 300 emails to go through. So well done. Just a few other resources that I'll be dropping in here. Mission Media University is something that Tom and I and others are associated with. We offer live courses in the area of media to movements. We do have a wiki that, and this is actually, I don't have that link properly ready. There is a group that might be useful here. That is a closed Media to Movements Facebook group. And you would, how do they do that, Tom? You just have to, I guess, ping Tom or be a friend with somebody who's in the group, and it's got some stuff going there.
Clyde, just contact me. I'll put my email address.
So you're an admin on that.
People,
okay.
Yeah.
That's one. And then here's another this is John's resources. John offers a lot. That's particular to his ad resources. If you haven't discovered Kavanaugh Media, that'll get you there, and then you can navigate around. John does a lot, but courses, podcasts, trainings, etc. And then
I put your wiki link in.
Thank you. And I just saw, David, I did have your weekly email link in there. I was coming next. I do that on a regular basis. Since you're now subscribed to this, you'll get a little email, and then we'll probably do something again in about 3 months' time, just to try to keep this going. I did not mention, and maybe you can help me, John, because I don't have a link for this. There is a community of practice that meets the monthly marketing meetup. It's like the first Monday of the month. How do people find out about that, John? Like, where can they? And just describe how that's unique. I mean, it's more like into nuts and bolts, or do you have to tell us more about that, John? Is that for anybody, or who's that for?
Oh, I'm not honestly sure. Amanda might know. I kind of do a lot of the training, but I'm not sure exactly who all it's supposed to be for. I know it's meant anybody that goes through Pioneers Media to Movements.
Yeah, Aisha sends out the emails. I don't know who sends the invites.
That's who, if somebody's interested in it, give them Aisha's email and she will send them the stuff to that. It's very, very hands-on technical type stuff, like setting up Google Tag Manager, Google Data Studio, or whatever kind of stuff on those kind of things, how to measure your Bible downloads or whatever. So it's very, very technical.
Is there a link to that on the Media Movements site? John,
I don't know.
They may know.
Amanda, do you know?
No, but I can post her email.
That'd be helpful. That would be great. Super. And any other resources that you're aware of, we do the wiki, we're always trying to make sure that there's stuff out there. Don't recreate a wheel, and, learn from the mistakes of others. So, and I think maybe my final parting comment will be, as John said, and David were saying, is like, hey, you just got to try. Like, you will never learn as quickly or as effectively as you do when you try something new. And you just kind of have to start, jump in the water, learn from others, ask questions, get support from peers and others like us in this community, and dare if you're not. Because I think the reason we're hosting this is, it may be overstating the obvious, but I will do it, is people are seeking, people are inhabiting digital realms increasingly so. And will we be there like Jesus, incarnating where they are and when they're at their point of need, so that they find the right person, the right messaging, and the right community that will lead them to life, because there are many off-ramps that don't lead to life. And so this is a great place, if not one of the greatest place that gives us access in very historically unique ways to reach out and to begin a relationship that can lead to the ultimate life-changing relationship. So anyway, anybody else, final thoughts, comments, anything? All right. We will send out probably within a day or so a little executive summary with the recording, some notes and links, etc. Hannah, anything from your vantage point that we need to mention?
Nothing more.
All right. Well, then I'm going to say goodbye, but I'm going to ask if you would, Tom, and maybe Nachi, if you have 5 extra minutes, and John, we'll do a little quick wrap up here and a little like, how did that go? Otherwise, we will say sign.
Bad. Really, this was tremendous.
Well, that's a prop to Nachi then, because Nachi brought it, and John. So thanks to each of you. Nachi was playing. John, you're never playing, but you're always good. So anyway. All right, grace and peace, everyone, and
Thanks very much.
we'll be in touch.